welcome back everybody. It's Dina Calmetti here with CWW7 News. And for today's broadcast, as promised, I do have some military news I wanted to bring to you guys. We're going to talk about the United States and North Korea and get you guys caught up there, as well as China, Russia, and Iran. But I first want to start with this report from the WND. And the headline reads, Trump has summoned his generals to the war room over North Korea. U.S. generals and senior politicians, including General James Mattis and Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, are said to have been in a meeting today in Washington. The Situation Room often hosts war councils and emergency meetings during times of conflict or national crisis. It was made famous as where President Barack Obama monitored the mission to kill Osama bin Laden. It was not yet known what was discussed during today's meeting, but comes after Trump warned the world is in the calm before the storm. It goes on further to state the Situation Room, officially named the John F. Kennedy Conference Room, is used to deal with disasters and conflicts at home and abroad. It is equipped with secure communications equipment and allows the U.S. President to command the nation's military across the globe. A defense expert commented on the meeting on Twitter, suggesting it could be to plot out response to the upcoming North Korea missile launch. It has been nearly a month since Kim last tested a missile, but the world is waiting for its latest provocation, with fears of a test coming soon. North Korea was thought to test a missile or a nuclear bomb today or yesterday, but have yet to deliver on the fears of the CIA spies. The last time Trump called a meeting into the Alternative Situation Room is when he launched a cruise missile strike on Syria. The U.S. president also reportedly had a Situation Room meeting on September 3rd after Kim's H-bomb test and recent briefings on the disaster in Puerto Rico. Express News is reporting that Trump's most senior U.S. general has told the U.S. Army to stand ready for a war with North Korea. General James Mad Dog Mattis warned it is impossible to tell what the future holds for the crisis, but urged U.S. troops to be ready for a confrontation with North Korea. He said while Trump is committed to finding a diplomatic solution, the Army must stand ready to fight. He stated, now what does the future hold? Neither you nor I can say. So there is one thing the U.S. Army can do, and that is you have to be ready to ensure that we have military options that our president can employ if needed. Although he added the future is unpredictable, Mattis again said the effort to stop North Korea was diplomatically led. And he touted the United Nations Security Council's recent ununanimous votes to impose further sanctions against a rude country for its belligerent behavior. He said the international community has spoken, but that means the U.S. Army must stand ready. So if you're ready, that's your duty at this point in time. Mr. Mattis's comments come as Donald Trump tweeted again about ongoing tensions between the U.S. and North Korea over the weekend, saying that giving the country billions of dollars over the past 25 years did not work. Having already warned he could totally destroy North Korea, he also tweeted, presidents and their administrations have been talking to North Korea for 25 years. Agreements made and massive amounts of money paid hasn't worked. Agreements violated before the ink was dry, making fools of U.S. negotiators. Sorry, but only one thing will work. And as of Monday, Russia and China called for restraint on North Korea following the U.S. president's warning. When asked what Russia made of Trump's comments, the Kremlin spokesman stated that Moscow has called and continues to call on the parties involved in the conflict and those who have anything to do with this issue to exercise restraint and to avoid any steps that would only worsen the situation. In Beijing, the Chinese foreign minister spokesman repeated China's position that all parties exercise restraint, describing the situation as extremely complex and serious. The Daily Mail is reporting North Korea possesses a nuclear missile that would be capable of reaching U.S. territory after modernization, says a Russian MP. North Korea has told Moscow lawmakers that its current ballistic missile, with a range of 1,865 miles, will be able to reach the U.S. West Coast following some updates, reports a Russian news agency. Anton Marzaz, who just returned from a visit with North Korea, has said it is preparing to launch another missile in the nearest future, and it aims to increase the range of its rockets to 5,500 in 93 miles. Seattle is located some 5,134 miles from North Korea. In London, 5,379 miles. If North Korea achieved this target, both the U.S. and the U.K. is well within range. However, there was no talk about the deadline. Morozov has added that he has seen calculations showing the missile can hit the U.S. West Coast. He also said the North Koreans told him they have technology that would allow them to bring a warhead back down to Earth intact. It goes on further to state allegations by South Korea stated that North Korean computer hackers have stolen hundreds of classified military documents from South Korea, including detailed wartime operational plans involving its U.S. ally. A lawmaker for the ruling Democratic Party said the hackers had broken into the South's military network last September and gained access to 235 gigabytes of sensitive data. Among the leaked documents was operational plans 5015 for use in case of war with the North, and including procedures for decapitation attacks on the leader, Kim Jong-un. And here is another very interesting headline from Reuters. U.S. President Donald Trump may travel to the heavily fortified demilitarized zone separating North and South Korea when he visits South Korea next month. The White House sent an advance team of working-level officials in late September to check candidate sites for Trump's special activity in South Korea. Trump was expected to send a significant message to North Korea, either verbally or kinetically, during his first trip to the peninsula as U.S. Commander-in-Chief. It goes on further to state a trip to the DMZ following in the footsteps of his predecessor, Barack Obama, and Vice President Mike Pence would bring Trump within yards of North Korean soldiers who stand eyeball to eyeball with their South Korean enemies and likely be regarded by the North as highly provocative. And it goes on finally to state Trump is scheduled to visit Japan, South Korea, China, Vietnam, and the Philippines starting from November 3rd. I'm not sure exactly what he's trying to accomplish by walking near the North Korean border, but it definitely adds fuel to the fire. I will continue to keep you guys updated as these reports continue to be developed, but let's move on and talk about the United States and Russia. This next headline comes from RT News, and the headline reads, U.S.-Russia relations are now comparable to the dark days of the Cold War. U.S.-Russia relations comparable to dark days of Cold War. Former U.S. Defense Secretary William Perry has warned that relations between the U.S. and Russia have entered a new Cold War, and that current global conditions could lead to a nuclear conflict. Speaking at the International Luxembourg Forum on Preventing Nuclear Catastrophe in Paris on Monday, Perry asked rhetorically, have we forgotten the Cuban Missile Crisis? He went on to recall a number of other close calls between the U.S. and Russia during the Cold War, when human or machine error almost sparked nuclear conflict. He said we are beginning a new Cold War with the worst possible outcome, a nuclear war between the U.S. and Russia. Perry warned that an escalation of the current global situation could have major consequences in a matter of hours, specifically noting that possibility for escalation between the U.S. and Russia, India and Pakistan, or even North and South Korea. We could have the same number of casualties as all of World War II, only these would happen in 6 hours instead of 6 years, he said. Perry previously took aim at U.S. President Donald Trump in March, stating that one has to give careful thought on what to say regarding nuclear issues. He said it's hard to imagine that tweeting meets that test, referring to Trump's preferred method of communication. Also speaking at the forum was former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, who, addressing the Iran nuclear agreement, which Trump has referred to as the worst deal ever negotiated, stated that the sensible thing is to preserve the current agreement. Blair added that sticking to the agreement means for now at least that Iran's nuclear program can be stalled. Trump has indicated that he will not be recertifying the deal. And speaking of Iran and Washington, the Kremlin has stated that negative consequences will come if Trump quits the Iran deal. Moscow warned on Monday there would be negative consequences if U.S. President Donald Trump fails to uphold the landmark Iran nuclear deal negotiated by his predecessor. President Putin said, obviously, if one country leaves the deal, especially such a key country as the U.S., then that will have negative consequences. And Dmitry Peskov stated that we can only try to predict the nature of these consequences, which we are doing now. Putin has repeatedly hailed the importance of the existing deal. And speaking of Russia, apparently NATO is launching new multinational forces to counter Russia. NATO is launching a new multinational force in Romania to counter Russia along its eastern flank and keep close tabs on the Russian presence in the Black Sea. The chief of the military alliance stated that NATO's actions are purely defensive. Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg stated that here in Romania, our multinational framework brigade is now operational. We are also seeing increased Allied presence in the Black Sea. Our deployments are a direct response to Russia's aggressive actions in Ukraine, he said. NATO's actions are defensive and entirely in line with our international commitments. He also went on to say that members of the alliance are concerned by Russia's military buildup close to our borders and its lack of transparency when it comes to military exercises such as Zapad 2017. This highlights the importance of our dual-track approach to Russia. What the alliance chief said next, however, sounded more like a mantra. Russia is our neighbor. Russia is here to stay. We do not want to isolate Russia. NATO does not want a new Cold War. Our actions are designed to prevent, not provoke, conflict. Details of the new force size are unclear. Once a small force relying on troops from 10 NATO countries, the land, air, and sea deployments will complement some 900 U.S. troops already in place. Definitely some heated headlines today, especially with what's happening between the United States and North Korea. We are literally on the edge of war with North Korea right now. But I will continue to keep you guys updated as these reports continue to be developed. But please do leave your comments in the comments section. Tell me what you think. Tell me what's on your mind. I would love to hear from you guys. Also, please do come and visit me on Facebook, where I have these stories and many more. Also on our website at www.cww7news.org. All right, you guys, I will see you in my next video. God bless.